Meanwhile, world leaders gathered in New York for the 77th United Nations General Assembly, and while the war in Ukraine and Taiwan tensions topped the agenda, many developing countries asked the world to focus on combating global warming and climate calamities. In Pakistan, the devastating floods have engulfed large parts of the country. The calamity has killed over 1,500 people. It has also caused damages worth $30 billion. Now, speaking at the high-level meeting, Pakistan's Prime Minister Sharif asked the world leaders as to why his people were paying the price for global warming.
Pakistan has never seen a more stark and devastating example of the impact of global warming. Life in Pakistan has changed forever. Nature has unleashed her fury on Pakistan without looking at our carbon footprint, which is next to nothing.
And also, Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has accused the affluent nations for being responsible for a majority of the emissions and not doing enough to help those who are facing the repercussions of climate change caused by the rich nations of the West.
They don't act. They can talk, but they don't act. I'm talking this. Yes, they talk a lot, they give promise, they do agree, everything is okay, fine, is good. But we don't see any act, we don't see any place, we don't see any money they donate. That is the tragedy. Our geographical situation is such, so living with natural calamities, it is very common for our country. But unfortunately, we are not emitters. We don't do any emission, but we are going to be victim of emission and global warming. That is a very unfortunate thing.
Now, Bangladesh produces a very small amount of the greenhouse gas emissions with respect to other developed nations. Bangladesh emits less than 1% of the greenhouse gases every year. The ever-increasing carbon emissions have contributed to the warming of the planet by an average of about 1.2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. The Paris Climate Accord calls upon the rich nations to help the developing nations to cope with climate change, and the Paris Agreement calls on countries to limit global warming to below 2 degrees, preferably to under 1.5 degrees Celsius in comparison with the pre-industrial levels. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.